Welcome, everyone, to February's edition of GRAR's 3 on 3 at 3. And this month, we get to talk about short-term rentals. And we have an amazing panelist of experts in this area to discuss that with us. So we'll start by introducing ourselves. My name is Julie Woltil. I'm an associate broker over at Keller Williams Rivertown on the Major Homes team. And we can take it down. If you guys let us know what brokerage you're from, how long you've been in real estate, and kind of what's your connection to short-term rentals to begin with. And we could start with you if that works.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Amy Taylor. I work with the Michigan Realtors. I am part of the Public Policy Department, and we deal with a lot of the short-term rental legislation that you may hear about. So I've been with the association about 16 years, and I'm happy to be here.
Jordan Painter with Keystone Home Group Realty. I've been in the business since 2010, and we also do property management through a company, Book and Gather.
Hi, I'm Ashley Schaefer. I'm broker-owner of Hello Homes GR. My husband and I own a handful of short-term rentals, and I'm really glad Amy's here so I don't have to talk about any legislation.
I know, this really worked out. That's why we can have you as the expert. Yeah. Some questions will be looking to you to see where things are going. Well, let's start from the beginning. If someone has interest in getting into the short-term rental business, what would be their first step? What would you consider? And maybe we could start with you, Ashley, and then go around. Yeah.
First of all, I think everyone should have interest in short-term rentals. This is totally the direction that people are moving to for vacations, tourism, lodging. There's great options, of course, with hotels and such, but short-term rentals are extremely lucrative from a real estate and investment standpoint. Legislation aside, the biggest things that we've learned are, does it offer a unique value? Is it just a house in the middle of a city, which some people want? Most people want something that is a little different from their everyday life. So if you're looking to invest in short-term rentals, I always tell someone, look at properties that might have something unique. Are they on water? Are they close to a ski hill? Are they close to the beach or some, something that people would pay money to go to? So that's my first suggestion.
Okay. Finding something unique.
Yeah, unique is definitely important. I would say the first factor that I would consider would be, what is your purpose? What are your goals? Are they strictly financial? Are you looking for just the highest return on investment, or are you looking for a vacation home that just pays for itself? Because those are two different things. It's fairly easy to find a vacation home that will pay for itself. It's hard to find something to maximize profits. I think that's where the balance comes in of what are your individual goals and interests in kind of starting from there.
Mm-hmm. And I think from a government affairs perspective, you'll want to kind of be aware of any ordinances already in the books that may pertain to those short-term rentals. You may want to inquire about if there's any past circumstances or ordinances that had come up that may rear their head again in dealing with certain upcoming ordinances too. These ordinances can be great in one perspective, but also reduce your rights as a property owner and impact your ability to rent that property as well. So,
yeah, that's huge. Mm-hmm. Would you guys say that's the first step that you would look for? Is it allowed, then dive into what the property looks like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. If it's not allowed, it's a hard stop.
It is.
Or, what specifically is not allowed?
Right.
What can we work with? What can we adjust? Yeah, if it's just a flat no, well, yeah, you got to move on. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we try to get it in writing from all the townships prior to the purchase. Just via email. A lot of them do have rules written, but you got to make sure and do that research up front for sure.
Absolutely. Diving in a little bit deeper, when you're considering a property, is there a certain metric? I mean, you talked about finances. Are you considering maintenance costs and cost of a property management company? Like, how should one go about that portion of it? Maybe you want to go first, Jordan.
Yeah. So we've our company's developed a lot of tools. MichiganShortTermRentals.com. You can plug everything into a calculator, and you can stage and furnish the house about down to the spoon with the tools that we have. And so it's really important to know the overall investment. I think you mentioned, what are you going to have to do to fix it up? So you kind of take purchase price, closing costs, furnishings, repairs. You have to have a unique experience. You have to have amenities. If you don't, you're just going to be, that bottom 50 percentile that is a nice house without an experience. People are really going for an experience. I think you have to really calculate what your overall investment is And then you look at, is it cash? Is it finance? What's your down payment? You plug all those things into a calculator and you can figure out, again, that's where the goals come in. What are your goals for cash on cash return? What are your long-term goals? So all those things really are important to consider when you're looking at the numbers. And it's really hard to get all the numbers for your first time around. So you really have to dig deep. We kind of joke. The joke with my business partners is it needs a little paint. And a little paint usually costs about $80,000.
Right, exactly.
So take what you think it's going to be, double it, add 20%, and you're probably in the ballpark of what it's actually going to cost by the time you're all done.
Honestly.
It's a good color, though.
Yeah, totally worth it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the finances, are incredibly important. Again, I focus really on what's that experience. What does it look like? We try not to cheap out on our things. Like, we have really nice beds. We have nice furniture. If it breaks or gets damaged, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to be a little upset.
Of course.
We recognize that happens. But we really want people to feel like they're staying in a place that is worth their money, that's luxurious. Can I say that? But, that they can relax in. The $80,000 might be a little over my budget, but we joked, like, everything is $3,000. Every spoon is $3,000. Every deck board is $3,000. Like, every quote we got was $3,000 times 100. Like, okay, we'll just pay another $3,000 for this. But we're beyond the days, in my opinion, of just flipping. It has to be done really well. So we're kind of the adage too, like, you have to spend money to make money. It's worth it to pay for the nice things to get a higher return, in our opinion. So.
Okay. So now we're talking about the money we've invested. Obviously, we all want to make that money, but let's talk also about risks. What are some risks that somebody who's brand new to short-term rentals should really be considering and keeping that in mind? Maybe we start with you, Ashley.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I always joke too, like, I could tell you for days what not to do.
Yeah.
So we've learned so much. Oh my gosh, it could be anything. Location, condition of the property. For us, one of the biggest risks was the surrounding neighbors. We try really hard not to buy properties that are too close to other homes, which, by the way, our neighbors, I send them a holiday card every year, like the 5 houses around us.
Yep.
I bring them cookies if I'm in town. I'll stop by. How are the kids? I try really hard to create a relationship with them. If we have a rowdy tenant, if we have some problems, please don't call the cops. Like, please, just call me. I'll wake up.
Yeah.
I'll handle it. We try really, really hard to create a good relationship. We are truly good owners. We're not like slumlords, in that sense, or like just buying properties for no reason. We genuinely want a relationship with them. So the risk for us is location.
Yep.
And of course, buying a money pit. Like, it's not just paint. Like, people are going to damage things, but what are the biggest issues? Are you going to have water coming in the basement, or like any property? Like,
Right.
that's going to be a problem. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think Ashley nailed it. Neighbors are the biggest risk, and we're really big on providing a great experience for everyone, and that includes the people that live in the community that we're operating. And so, if you don't do a good job, we have a property rating tool that we use, and one of them is how many neighbors can you see from the back. If you have one on the side, one on this other side, and one in the back, it's probably not going to be one that we would consider. People typically, when they're going on vacation, they're going there to have a good time.
Yeah.
Even if they're not wild and crazy partiers, they're out at 11 o'clock having fun. And
Right.
if you're working the next day and your neighbor is out there partying on Wednesday night in the summer, you're not on vacation. You have to go to work. And so that's been a huge issue for us. I don't know if you've implemented any technology, but we started using Noise Aware, it's called.
Yeah.
And it monitors, you can set it to a frequency level of, if it gets above a certain point, it actually automatically triggers. They get a phone call to say, hey, shut up, you're being too loud.
Right.
Nicely. And then if it maintains that for a certain amount of time, then we get a call as the property manager to take action. So really important, and I think it comes down, that kind of leads to the next thing is if we as owners don't do a good job monitoring that, the communities are going to have more of a reason to lock down and have a regulation. So if you're not doing a good job management, you're going to be causing problems for everyone who is doing a good job.
Right.
And so I would say the neighbors and then the municipalities that are making rules are the two by far that you can't control them, or at least you can only control them to a certain extent. So those are huge, huge risks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a perfect segue. So, Amy, where is the legislature? Where are we heading with that, and what are the rules?
Well, obviously, Jordan and Ashley make great points as, they take pride in home ownership, whether it's your primary home, whether it's your secondary home. There are the arguments against short-term rentals where they say, there are some bad actors in this business, but some complain about bad behavior associated with those tenants, noise, parking, trash, double occupancy or more. The argument is there for ruining those communities or impacting the housing stock. But the argument for, as obviously is strongly implicated with Ashley and Jordan, it's a great thing to have in communities to support the local economy, to be part of that housing ecosystem that serves beyond just vacation homes. It could be relocating workers that come in and trim trees or a fully stacked EMS program, things like that. So right now we are heading into a new legislative cycle, which means there's a whole new crop of new elected officials in both the House and the Senate here in Michigan. Just in the House alone, we have 56 new elected officials. So our job at the Michigan Realtors is to get that education out of why we support private property rights, why short-term rentals are a good thing with those parameters in place for those bad actors. Locals can implement regulations, whether that's additional fees, fines. They could put restrictions on those bad actors, a 3-strike rule and you're out. You lose the ability to rent your home. So we will be looking at reintroducing legislation that that wouldn't allow a local to prohibit or strictly restrict short-term rentals in those areas. There are nuisance laws that we can enact in those local areas, but still have a thriving short-term rental market.
So in terms of voting and passing that legislation, what is the timeline we're looking at?
Well,
maybe that's a tough question.
It's a great question. Yes, yes. If I had a crystal ball, we made great strides last legislative cycle. We were able to get a bill to pass the Senate committee and then onto the Senate floor for a vote, but it never did quite get that traction before the end of that legislative cycle. So it didn't make it to the governor's desk. We're looking at reintroduction of the legislation. We're looking at a bipartisan support where we have both Republicans and Democrats because it's not a partisan issue. This is a private property issue. So the timeline is a little fluid right now. We'll have to kind of see what the priorities are as far as the legislature goes. But we are working hard on it, and we will, obviously get out to the membership all the good news that we have regarding the short-term rental issue.
I really like that reframe because it will be good news. We will get a lot of steam ahead.
Absolutely.
So that looking back on your journeys, owning these homes, these short-term rentals, what is one thing you wish you had known before you started through this experience? Maybe Jordan, we could start with you.
Yeah, I'm blessed to have some business partners that are a lot smarter than me and did a lot of the research. We spent probably a year and a half before we found our first one. And so we had a lot of time to research, and there's so much information out there through podcasts and articles, and I think we had a pretty good grasp on what to expect. I think the two things that I would say are really important to have set up is systems and people. And so if you have the right people and they don't have systems to follow, it's going to be a disaster. And if you have good systems and the people aren't following it, it's also a disaster. So I think it's really important to get set up, and we have cleaning checkbooks, and there's so many instructions that it almost could become overwhelming. But having what does the cleaning closet look like? Where are the supplies? Where is everything set up? And then I think also one of the hard parts of having people is that we have the heart to serve people. We want to have a great experience. We own the business. We own the properties. We want we have this vested interest in it where. When you're paying somebody to clean a house, they're doing a job, and I think so. having them really understand what is the purpose of what we're doing. Our purpose isn't to clean the house. Our purpose isn't to fix a problem. Our purpose is to give the people a great experience, and we do that through some of those tasks, issues. But I think really creating a culture of the people that work for you that they really understand how important that experience is, and bending over backwards when it's not just enough to unclog the toilet. You also have to send a box of donuts or something extra after you've had a problem. So looking at teaching the people that you work with how to view issues like that as opportunities to set yourself apart as opposed to a hassle and they have to go and fix this thing. Just training people to serve people that way so that everybody has a great experience, because you can't do it yourself, right? You can't do it yourself.
No.
Yeah.
We do not do it ourselves.
She also has a Jordan to do this stuff.
Hey, that's right.
That's pretty similar. The thing that I wish we would have known is how hard it is to find really, really good service providers. Some of that, so our properties are in Muskegon, which is pretty populated, but there are some areas where you buy short-term rentals that don't have a lot of people around. So simply getting a cleaning company is really difficult. And then you got to get a really good cleaning company. And that's a really big task. So that's something that we've learned to really, really dive into. Like, who are our service providers? If we need a plumber, if we need an electrician, something goes out, we can't get there. Who do we count on? Like, we got a person that can come help with that. That's been actually a bigger issue than we realized. So that's been pretty tough. Yeah.
And it sounds like front loading some of that research is key, so that you're not like in the middle of the night trying to identify a plumber.
Oh
you
my gosh,
have a
totally.
go-to
'Cause
person
it's
that you've
only
thought
in the
it
middle
through.
of the night. 100%. When that happens.
Yeah. Our first turnover, we must have interviewed 12 people to clean our houses. The first week, 2 of the 4 people we hired didn't show up, didn't call, ghosted, disappeared.
Yeah.
And so, it's even when you try to do the things the right way, it's so hard to find good people.
Yeah, my in-laws thought they were retired, but no, they're running out properties all the time.
Yeah, so,
Hey, can you go do this?
yeah, when you find good people, take care of them.
Right.
Especially your
That's been
in-laws,
a big issue, honestly.
Yeah.
Is just finding the right service providers that do it to the level that your guest wants and that we'd expect.
And again, it's bringing that hospitality that you would see in a world-class resort or hotel into a home. So as you're really bringing that forth into your company, that needs to be mirrored in all aspects of service. So it sounds like you guys have really put some thought into that and developed a great system. Yeah. Any last thoughts on short-term rentals, where you think it's heading or people should get into it? What are your thoughts?
One thing I was going to say, I think our brain automatically goes to a vacation rental, but I think it's so important to remember or maybe realize the short-term rental market is for so many people. We get a lot of traveling professionals, which I find fascinating that a company's like, come to here, work here, you figure out where to live for 30 days. Like, we're not going to help with that. We get a lot of traveling nurses. One of our properties is by the hospital in Muskegon. There's wonderful professionals that need places to stay. Of course, in real estate, there's always a lag in time for people moving out of their home and into their new home.
Yes.
People just truly need housing, and it's not always on a 12-month basis. It's not always on a 30-day basis. So from a legislative standpoint, I think sometimes we think, oh, there's parties or people just going there to, do whatever. But there's actually a really big need for short-term housing across many, many, different points there. So I think it's important to remember that, especially like in the city of Grand Rapids. Somebody might be coming into town for a concert or a show or something, but mostly it's professional housing. So I think that's important from a legislative standpoint. That even though like Verbo, it's vacation rental, I get that it's in their name, but there's lots of other uses. So
Exactly. When I was just thinking too, piggybacking on that, we've got folks who have been displaced from their homes because of a fire or flood. They still need housing. And so again, if there's restrictions on that, the insurance company is only paying a certain amount.
Absolutely.
And they have a whole family. You need housing.
Yeah,
So that's an
absolutely.
excellent point. Not all holiday. I wish it was.
Right.
But it's all the time.
So just a note.
That's a great point, and that's a great way to fill properties, especially in Michigan off season, where you're not necessarily going to have people every night of the week vacationing. So,
Right.
I would say there's going to be and continues to be a lot more competition in the short-term rental market. There's a lot of people looking to get into it. I think there's plenty of room for growth there, but I do think that the days of people buying a house and fixing it up nice and really having a really good profit are going to be slim. And so I think we talk about the property stack is what we call it, or the amenity stack. And it's like, you got a hot tub, great, right? What else do you have? Do you have a sauna? Do you got a pickleball court? Do you have, all these little extra things that you want to provide a premium experience? So I like to put myself in the consumer shoes when I'm looking at going on vacation. what are the things that I look for, and what are the things that are going to tip me over the top if I've got 3 or 4 properties I'm choosing between, and that one has, you know, the sauna and the hot tub and maybe, you know, those extra, you know, arcade games. What are those eye-popping, Instagrammable type of photos that when people are just clicking through, like, that's where they want to stay. That's what they remember when they go back the next day to relook at what's available. They're looking for, where was the one that had the cool fire pit or the cool. So keep in mind, it's great to be open to the other stays and to really open it up, but also, like, you want to be the best of what's available. So if the market's 50% occupied, what are you going to do to be part of that 50% that's occupied?
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
So
And remembering the marketability of that. Again, we're working on this product, so as a business owner, you got to really push through and market it adequately. Yeah.
yeah, come in with a sufficient budget to do that. Because if you just get in on a shoestring budget and you're trying to figure out how to paint the walls, that's not going to be enough.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for our amazing panelists to discuss short-term rentals. This has been another amazing 3-on-3. Thanks so much, Grar, and we'll see you next month.